Diti, Diti, the wife of Kashyapa, but Vridita, ashamed, Tena, by that, Karma, act, Avadhyena, faulty, Bharata, O son of the Bharata, O son of the Bharata family, Upasangamya, going nearer to, Viprarshim, the Brahmana sage, Adah Mukhi, with her face lowered, Abhyabhasata, politely said. Translation and purport by Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada. O son of the Bharata family, Diti, after this, went nearer to her husband, her face lowered because of her faulty action. She spoke as follows. Please repeat the translation. O son of the Bharata family, Diti, after this, went nearer to her husband, her face lowered because of her faulty action. She spoke as follows. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. When one is ashamed of an abominable action, one naturally becomes down-faced. Diti came to her senses after the abominable sexual intercourse with her husband. Such sexual intercourse is condemned as prostitution. In other words, sex life with one's wife is equal to prostitution if the regulations are not properly followed. Next verse I will recite myself. Diti ruvacha name garbham imam brahman bhutanam rishabo avadut rudraha patirhi bhutanam yashya karavam amhasam. The beautiful Diti said, my dear Brahmana, kindly see that my embryo is not killed by Lord Śiva, the Lord of all living entities, because of the great offense I have committed against him. Purport. Diti was conscious of her offense and was anxious to be excused by Lord Śiva. Lord Śiva has two popular names, Rudra and Ashutosha. He is very prone to anger as well as quickly pacified. Diti knew that because of his being quickly angered, he might spoil the pregnancy she had so unlawfully assured. But because he was also Ashutosha, she implored her Brahmana husband to help her in pacifying Lord Śiva, for her husband was a great devotee of Lord Śiva. In other words, Lord Śiva might have been angry with Diti because she obliged her husband to transgress the law, but he would not refuse her husband's prayer. Therefore, the application for excuse was submitted through her husband. She prayed to Lord Śiva as follows. Doesn't see Bhakti Vedanta purport. Om ajnanatimiraandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshuram militam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shrivasadi Gauravaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So after understanding the situation from Kashyapa Muni, the gravity of sin, what she had committed, Diti realized her mistake. Now she wanted to beg forgiveness. So she was approaching through Kashyapa Muni the forgiveness of Lord Śiva. It is said, Diti tu vridita tena, Diti became ashamed of her activity. Karma avadhyena bharata. What kind of activity? Abominable activity what she had performed. Oh my dear Vidura. Upasamgamya viprarshim. She approached her husband, who is a Brahmana Vipra, a qualified personality, Kashyapa. Upasamgamya, approaching him. Adhomukhi abhyabhasata. Her face was lowered because of her feeling ashamed and realizing the mistake what she had done. She was down-faced and abhyabhasata, and she began to speak. What was she speaking? Diti ruvacha name garbham imam brahman. My dear Brahmana, my embryo bhutanam rishabho avadut. Bhutanam rishabha means the master of all the living entities, Lord Śiva. He is the best among the living entities, Rishabha. Avadut, let him not kill my embryo. Rudra patirhi bhutanam yasya akaravam amhasam. So he is the Lord of the living entities. Patirhi bhutanam, Rudraha. Yasya karavam amhasam. Because I have done an offense, so that he might take revenge in that way, or he might punish me by killing my embryo, I request you to please pray to Lord Śiva that he does not kill my embryo and he protects my baby. So in the purports, Prabhupada was explaining, when one is ashamed of an abominable action, one naturally becomes down-faced. A symptom of a person who has done a mistake and he has realized his mistake. He is feeling guilty for the problem what he has created. So that's the symptom is he is down-faced. Means he is lowering head in humility to say that he has accepted his mistake. Think sex life with one's wife is equal to prostitution if the regulations are not properly followed. Because in 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita we see Krishna says, 10th chapter, 7th chapter, Dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatashrava. That sex life which is followed as per religious duty, Krishna says, I am that sex life. So if the sex life is not followed, it is adharma. Adharma means it constitutes to prostitution. That's what it is being said here. Then further it says, the application for excuse was submitted through her husband. Why? In the earlier verse it is said, Kashyapa Muni was a great devotee of Lord Śiva. Because Diti had offended Lord Śiva, so she was imploring her husband, because you are a great devotee of Lord Śiva, please pray on my behalf so that Lord Śiva might excuse me of my mistake. So Lord Śiva might have been angry with Diti because she obliged her husband to transgress the law, but he would not refuse her husband's prayer. So now from these perspectives, what do we learn from the situation? What it is for me to learn, to practice, to implement. So we see the situation is like somebody had committed a mistake, which is very abominable. But being in the devotee platform, they realize the mistake. Now further, what we should do, how our consequence of actions should be guided by. So generally in the material world, if somebody does a mistake, there is an 8-stage process they recommend for them, so that their consciousness is maintained and they come out of the situation and they learn from the situation. They say, address your feelings. Because we are in a guilty feeling mode, first we should pacify ourselves. Because when we do something wrong, we try to accommodate the situation. We try to justify the situation. We try to blame others, or we try to pass on that mistake to somebody, some situation, some cause. We try to give that credit to somebody else. Because we are in that angry mood. Now first, let that feelings be subsided. Let that mood, mentality be subsided. Then acknowledge the error. Yes, I have done a mistake. Acknowledge the mistake. Then offer an apology. If the opposite person is next to us, we should offer our apology for him. Sincerely, we should pray for forgiveness. Then evaluate the cause. What might be the prerogative for me to continue this mistake, commit this mistake. Evaluate the cause. Then find a solution. See, failure is a stepping stone for success. Means what? Every time we fail, we see that we do not repeat the same circumstances again. And we learn from the situation so that we become better of our personality. So then plan what to do next time. If we occur at if the same scenario repeats next time, how I should be able to handle it. We should plan properly. Then we should prioritize our self-care. So whenever the situation arises, or whenever we are placed into such circumstances, we should see that self-control we maintain, so that we do not get carried away by that tendency to commit mistake again. To restrain myself at that time, I should have self-control and create a positive pattern of work. Learn something positive from the circumstances, so that we always remember the situation and we take credit. Okay, I have learned something from the situation. Now in the Vaishnava perspective, Prabhupada at various purports had explained this scenario of committing mistake and begging forgiveness. So Prabhupada says, one should be very careful not to commit mistakes at the lotus feet of Vaishnava, of whom Lord Śiva is the best. See, offending a person's instruction is like creating an offense at his personality. So, it is like a Vaishnava offense. So we should be very careful because Lord Śiva is the greatest Vaishnava. Diti had committed a transgression. So, a pure Vaishnava should be very careful to engage in his specific duty without criticizing others. This is the safest position. A devotee is naturally so humble and meek that he accepts the situation of life as a blessing from the Lord. So, one more thing is, he accepts the situation as a blessing from the Lord. Why? Because tattena kampa sushipiksha manaha. So, I am supposed to suffer in a bigger way. Lord is so merciful, he is creating me this opportunity so that I finish my sinful tendencies. I get purified from the situation. A devotee always accepts punishment from anyone as the mercy of the Lord. Because his karma is getting burnt. He is seeing this as the mercy of the Lord. If one lives in this conception of life, he sees whatever reverses occur to be due to his past misdeeds and therefore he never accuses anyone. So sometimes what happens now? Anywhere some mistake happens, we give that credit to somebody else. Because of him, I failed. Because of him, I failed. But whenever success is there because of others' help, I take the whole credit. I will never pass on to others. We are so choosy. Best thing we want to keep, worst thing we want to give it to others. He becomes increasingly attached to the Supreme Lord because of he being purified by suffering. So when Lord is blessing us with suffering, we become purified. In that purification, we become attached to the Lord. So in that way, it is a positive benediction for us, a suffering. Therefore, suffering is a process of purification. Now, okay, from our side, we have begged forgiveness. Now, the person who is forgiving, from his side, also we should consider. Because when we beg forgiveness, Krishna says, forgiveness is pleasing to Krishna. The duty of a brāhmaṇa is to culture quality of forgiveness, which is illuminating like the sun. The Supreme Lord Hari is pleased with those who are forgiving. These are all these quotes will be based on forgiveness only, Prabhupada where he spoke. The Lord is satisfied with his devotee when the devotee greets other people with tolerance, mercy, friendship and equality. And in Mahabharata it says, forgiveness is called as dharma. Forgiveness is virtue, forgiveness is sacrifice, forgiveness is the Vedas. Forgiveness is purity and penance. It is the truth, piety, religion and the holy Narayana. Through forgiveness, the universe is sustained, and by practicing forgiveness, a man can attain to everlasting regions of bliss. So this is the summons, this is the sum of duty. Do not undo others what would cause if done to you. Like if I pinch myself, the pain what I experience, I should not pinch others because I know the pain what they would undergo. So even if a devotee commits the most abominable actions, he is considered saintly because he is properly situated. This is from 9.30. What is that sloka? He says even apicheta sudracharo bhajate mam ananyabhat sadhureva sa mantavya samyak vyavashito hi saha. He is sadhu because he has realized his mistake. He is praying to the Lord that I will not commit this mistake in future. He is begging forgiveness from the Lord. So he is treated as a sadhu, even though because of some bad habits, he would have been carried away by some one situation. Not intentionally. These are accidental mistakes. So, as you say, to err is human. So in the neophyte stage, we may always expect some discrepancies are there. Kindly see the things in the light and forgive their small mistakes. The big thing is they have given their life, everything to Krishna. So there is never a mistake in that. So we have sacrificed our life for Krishna. This is the biggest thing what we have done. So sometimes some small possible things we may go wrong here and there. In a bigger scenario, in a lighter perspective, we should be forgiven for the circumstances. So Prabhupada in one more letter he says, I am glad to learn that your cooperation from the society for this society is appreciated by the authorities. We should learn to forget and forgive minor incidences, because whenever there are two men in place, there is always some misunderstanding. Now further Prabhupada says, Brahmanas are beautiful when they are forgiving, Kshatriyas when they are heroic and never retreat from fighting, Vaishyas when they enrich cultural activities and protect cows, and Shudras when they are faithful in the discharge of their duties pleasing to their masters. Thus, everyone becomes beautiful by their special qualities. And the special quality of Brahmana is described as forgiveness. So, when the Brahmana, the tolerance and forgiveness is the basic principle. He tolerates and he forgives. That's why Brahmanas become beautiful by their character, not by external body. By their character they become beautiful. A sadhu is never angry. Actually, the real feature of a sadhu who undergoes tapasya, austerity, is forgiveness. Anger and resentment are due to ignorance, due to material attachment. We have to solve the problem through knowledge and purification. So, anger and resentment are because of ignorance, and we have to solve by knowledge and purification. So, Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj says, let me not desire anything but the highest good for my worst enemies. So, even for my worst enemies, I should always think of highest happiness for them. So, that should be the mentality for Brahmana quality. So, there was one scenario, the same situation which happened in Bhagavatam, where it explains when Kumara, see whole scenario, why Diti had to commit this mistake. By the will of the Lord, Jayavijaya have been cursed that they have come to this material world and accept demoniac forms. The option was given to them. 3 lives of demoniac forms or 7 lives of devotees. They chose 3 lives of demoniac forms because they don't want to miss the association of the Lord. They wanted to come back faster. Because 7 lives will take more time. So they themselves chose 3 lives of demoniac forms. Now, when the scenario was there, the Kumaras had approached the Vaikunta. They were at the 7th gate. 6 gates they had no problem. Nobody had stopped them. At the 7th gate, Jayavijaya stopped them. So when they were stopped at the 7th gate, the boys became very angry. And they said, these 2 people are acting like, imposters in the Vaikunta. Because they are showing their red eyes and they are showing a hostility mentality. So they are not fit to be staying in this material world. They should go. They are not fit to be staying in this Vaikunta. So these people are condemned to go to material world. So they cursed them that they become degraded. As soon as the situation became aware to the Lord came into the entrance of the Vaikunta. As soon as the 4 Kumaras saw the Lord, they went and they paid their obeisances. When they paid obeisances, they became purified of their consciousness. At that time, they were Brahman realized. See the situation. Why they were not allowed into Vaikunta? Brahman realization, people have no access to Vaikunta. They could reach up to the gate of Vaikunta, they did not enter into Vaikunta. Because of their Brahman realization, they are not qualified to enter into Vaikunta. But Lord created a situation that Lord appeared there at the entrance of the Vaikunta. As soon as the Kumaras paid obeisances, the fragrance emanating from the lotus feet of the Lord with Chandan and Tulsi had entered into their nostrils and they experienced a change in their consciousness and they became devotee minded. From impersonal realization, they came to the consciousness of devotee realization. Means Bhagavan realization they became. So at that time, Lord accepting a humbler position, he begs forgiveness from the Kumaras. He is setting an example for all of us by saying, Tadva prasadayami adya brahma daivam param hime tad dhiti atmakrutyam manye yat swapumbir asatkritaihi. He is saying, Brahma daivam param hime. The Brahmanas is the highest and most beloved personality. So, yat swapumbir asatkritaha. My people, whatever they have done, asatkritaha, the faulty action towards you, I treat it as my mistake because they are my servants. Like for example, we are traveling in a car and my driver is driving. If a driver commits a mistake of an accident, who is to be blamed? The master is to be blamed because he is also sitting in the car. The driver had some mistake, they will catch the master. So similarly, because they are my assistants, my servants, because they have committed a mistake, it is like I have committed that mistake on my behalf. I accept that my people so committed mistake means I am also to be blamed. Tad Diti Atmakritam Manye. I consider this as an offense done by me. Atmakritam Manye. I consider this is an offense from my side. Therefore, Tadva Prasadayami Adhyaha. My dear Lord, my dear devotees, please forgive me. See the mentality of the Lord. Lord is praying, my dear Brahmanas, please forgive me. Then people may consider, how can Supreme Lord commit an offense? Even if he does, who could punish him? The answer is, infamy is the punishment. Like for a great personality, bad name is worse than a death. Like in Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna refrained from fighting, Krishna said, for a Kshatriya, if you don't fight, people will criticize you if you run away from the battle, and infamy is worse than death. So in that perspective, Krishna, Lord is saying, Shri Radha Govinda ki. Iyan namanisha granati loko brutye kritagasi so asadhuvadas tat kirtim hanti tvacham ivamayaha. So he is saying, brutye kritagasi, a wrong acted committed by my assistant, brutye kritagasi, yan namanicha grananti loko, the people in general will criticize the name of the master. So and so had done mistake, that bad name will come to the master. Asadhuvadas tat kirtim hanti. It is worse than hell. Asadhuvadaha. The improper activity is better than death. Sorry, that bad name is better than death. So just as tvacham ivamayaha, on a body, if a leprosy appears in a small place, the entire body is treated as pollution. So similarly, if my one mistake done by my servant, it is as if I had done that mistake. So in the purport, Prabhupada says, a devotee should always see that Vaishnava qualities increase with the advancement of his Krishna consciousness. A devotee should be blameless because the offense by the devotee is a scar on the Supreme Lord. The devotee's duty to be always conscious of his dealings with others, especially with another devotee of the Lord. So it is we should be very careful when we are handling with devotee. So then devotees might ask, how is that from us you get fame or infamy? Are we greater than the Lord? Are we greater than you? Yasya amruta amala yasha shravana avagaha sadhya punati jagat asva pachad vaikuntaha soham bhavadhyaha upalabdha sutirtha kirti chindyam swabahum apiva pratikula vrittim. Here, Lord is saying how he became famous. He is saying, I have attained fame because of my devotees, Brahmanas. Because of my pure devotees, I am Brahmo Brahmanya Devaya. I am the master of the Brahmanas and the cows. Because they are very good people, I got my name for that purpose. He is saying, the entire world, Jagat, Ashwa Paschat, even to a lowest person of a dog eater, is Sadhya Punati Vikuntaha. He is immediately purified without any anxiety. Yasha Amruta Amala Yasha Shravana Avagaha. By simply drinking the pure topics of the personality of Godhead. Of the Lord's name, fame and pastimes, if some simply hears that, we become immediately purified. Soham Bhavabhyaha Upalabhya Shrutirtha Kirtis. And because you have realized me without doubt, because you are all Sutirtha Kirtis, because you have taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, therefore, Chindyam Sabahumapi, I will cut off my arm. Yah Pratikula Vrittim, if you had done a mistake, I am ready to chop off my arm if you had done a mistake, if my arm had done a mistake. Yat Sevaya Charana Padma Pavitra Renum sadya kshata akila malam pratilabdha sheelam nashrir viraktam api mam vijahati yashyaha preksha lavarta itare niyaman vahanti. He's saying, I am servitor of my servants. Lord is saying, I am the servitor of my servants. Yat sevaya charana padma pavitra renum. My lotus feet have become so sacred because sadya kshata akila malam. They immediately wipe out all the sin. Because my pure devotees are always there at my lotus feet. They are so pure. Because of them, my lotus feet became very pure. And people approach my lotus feet, they become pure. It's a reciprocal activity. It's like a cycle of chain activity. And I have acquired such a disposition. Pratilabja Sheelam. My character became so great. Nashrir Mam Vijahati. Even Lakshmi does not want to give away the shelter of my lotus feet. What is Lakshmi Devi? She's always massaging the lotus feet of the Lord. So even she does not want to go away from me. Viraktam api, even though I am not attached to her. And itare niyaman vahanti, and great personalities like Brahma perform severe austerities and vows. Preksha lavade, to get a slight flavor from Lakshmi Devi, but even Lakshmi Devi does not leave my lotus feet. So he says, the Brahmanas are so great that through Brahmanas I accept the offerings of the sacrifice. There are different ways how Lord eats in the sacrifices. One, by offering the food in the fire. Whenever we chant mantras, we offer food in the fire. The Lord accepts through fire. This is one way. And the second way is when the prasadam is offered to the Brahmanas. Krishna says, I relish eating through the mouths of the Brahmanas when delicacies are offered with pure ghee. So in that way, when Brahmanas are satisfied by offerings, by prasadam, the Lord says, I am very pleased. And he says, I am the master of my unobstructed internal energy, and the water of the Ganges is the leftover which washed my lotus feet. This water sanctifies the three worlds. What to speak of Lord Śiva, who bears this water on his head. If I can take the dust of the feet of a Vaishnava on my head, who will refuse to do the same? So Krishna is saying, even I would like to take the dust of my pure devotee. There is one situation which Krishna had created when he was at Dwaraka. So people were wondering why gopis were so best. Always this doubt was there. Why Krishna is so much attached to the gopis? What is the qualification of gopis that their bhakti is the highest of the category? One day Krishna enacted this pastime by saying he had an headache and no doctor was able to cure. So if it is a real headache, they can cure. If it is artificial headache, nobody can cure. So Krishna created the situation to say, finally they all asked, Lord, what is the cure? Only you should say. The Lord said, if some pure devotee can give the dust of their lotus feet, my headache becomes cured. So then Narada Muni was given the task. He went to the queens, Rukmini Devi and Satyabhama and all the queens. The queen said, no, how can we give our dust to the Lord? He is our master. So they went everywhere. Finally Narada Muni went to Vrindavan. He met the gopis and he said, dear Krishna is feeling so much terrible headache that he was not able to tolerate the situation. So they said, if our Krishna is feeling sick, he is feeling pain, how can we help him? Then Narada Muni said, we wanted the dust of your lotus feet. That is the medicine. They immediately removed so much dust from their feet and they had started giving to Narada Muni. Narada Muni was surprised. He asked, how is that you are able to give? You know, by keeping your dust on the lotus feet of at the head of the Lord, you will go to hell. They said, for the pleasure of the Lord, we are ready to go to hell. We are not bothered for our personal conveniences. Even though we may go to hell, but by we going to hell, if Lord becomes satisfied, we are very happy. See, Lord, that's why gopis are the best of the devotees. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Gopi Bharta Pada Kamalayor Dasa Dasa Dasanu Dasa. We should become servant of the master of the gopis. Because they are glorified for their devotion, we should follow in their footsteps. So Krishna is saying, I follow in the footsteps, I take the dust of the feet of my devotees. Then what to speak of people in general? They should also follow in their footsteps. And ye me tanur dvijavaram duhiter madiya bhutani alabdha sharirani cha beda buddhaya Drakshanti agakshata drushohi ahi manyavastan grudrarusha mama kushanti abhidanda hetu. So three personalities, they should be always be protected. The brahmanas, the cows, and defenseless creatures. These three personalities should always be protected. And they should be treated like my own body. Yeme tanur madiyaha. If somebody beta buddhya, by discriminative intelligence, differentiation, drakshanti agakshata drishoha, and he becomes impaired by his own sin and look distinct from me, if they differentiate among these various personalities, they are like ahimanyavastaha, they are like angered serpents. And the punishment for these angered serpents are vultures. They tear open these serpents and they eat them and they kill them. So similarly, those who are sinful and those who are, they discriminate for my devotees, the punishment is that the Yamadutas tear their body, how vultures tear the snakes and torture them. So Yamadutas torture them, those who offend my devotees. Sinless people, if you offend, you will be tortured by Yamadutas. On the other hand, those who please me are, they captivate my heart, who are gladdened in heart, whose lotus faces are enlightened by nectarian smiles. So who serve my devotees in a pleasing way, even though they might be angry, by their words, by their actions, if they are satisfying my devotees and the brahmanas, they are very pleased. I become very pleased. So he said, because the servants of mine have transgressed against you, not knowing the mind of their master, I shall therefore deem it as a favor done to me, so that in order of, although reaping the fruit of their transgression, they may return to my presence very soon. Because you have already given them curse, I treat it as an opportunity for them to revive themselves. Very soon they will come back to me. After hearing this statement, the Kumaras became very ashamed. Our Lord is begging forgiveness from us. We have done mistake by cursing. In Vaikunta, there is no chance of negative people to stay there. They are only the pure attendants who serve the Lord there. Then how come we have come under ignorance and we committed a grave offense by cursing the great associates of the Lord. So they say, my dear Lord, please we beg forgiveness from you. And whatever punishment you are giving to them, please suggest as punishment for us also, so that we do not repeat these mistakes again and again. So in that scenario, the Kumaras are also begging forgiveness from the Lord. They are saying, whatever punishment you bestow upon us, we are ready to accept heartily. So this principle of forgiveness, one can gain superiority by forgiveness. Similarly, in Ajamila's case also, when Ajamila was stopped from taking by Vishnu Dutas, Yamadutas got offended. First time they were experiencing no. So they came back to Yamaraj and they questioned his authority. Is there somebody superior to you? Sometime we were first time experiencing a no from our situation. So who is Narayana and who are these Vishnu Dutas? They inquire like this. By hearing Vishnu's name, Narayana's name from his Yamadutas, Yamaraj became very happy. Array, these people are chanting the holy name of the Lord. Then he explained about devotional service, dharma, and various duties to his Yamadutas. Finally, he begged forgiveness from the Supreme Lord because my devotees have done a mistake. It is as if I had done a mistake in approaching Ajamila, who is a Vaishnava. We did not know that he is such a great Vaishnava. Like Yamaraj says, oh my dear Lord, my servants have surely committed a great offense. Swapurusher yad asatkrutam naha. So by arresting Ajamila, a Vaishnava like Ajamila, O Narayana, O Supreme Lord, Sabhagavan Narayanaha Purushaha Puranaha, the oldest of the personalities, Takshamayam, please forgive us. Swanam Ahona Vidusham, because we are ignorant, we could not identify the position of a Vaishnava. And therefore, we have committed a great offense. Therefore, Rachita Anjalinam Kshantihi, with folded hands we beg forgiveness. Purushasya Bhumne Garishyasi, You supremely merciful and you are always full of good qualities. Therefore, we offer our respectful obeisances. Please pardon us. So Yamaraj is also begging forgiveness from the Lord because his servants have approached a Vaishnava, which they are not supposed to. So in that purport, Prabhupada says, in what mood was Yamaraja praying to the Lord? Yamaraja took upon himself the responsibility of the offense committed by his servants. Although Yamaraj is above offenses, his servants practically, with his permission, went to arrest Ajamila, which was a great offense. Therefore, Nyaya Shastra confirms, Brutya aparade swamino dandaha. If a servant makes a mistake, the master is punishable because he is responsible for the offense. So similarly, we should also understand from the circumstances. Sometimes we learn in a nice way, sometimes we learn in a very severe way. Like for example, there was a bird which was given gift to a professor. A professor was a clean personality with simple-hearted person who loves beauty, nature, sattvic man. But this parrot is very naughty, very like when it opens mouth, only bad words come out of it. Bad words means bhutum, bhutum, bhutum. All what you say, very uncivilized words, unparliamentary words. So when he has received it as a gift of his birthday, he started training it very patiently. He started creating good sound, good music, good words, good atmosphere. But this bird was not at all listening. So he tried various means and ways. But the bird was becoming even more worst. At one particular situation, he could not tolerate more. He took that bird and kept it inside the fridge. First, it started giving horrible galis. After a couple of minutes, it stopped. So then, the scientists thought maybe it would have died or what? What happened? Why it became silent? He immediately removed and brought the parrot outside. The parrot silently bent its head and said to the professor, "My dear sir, please forgive me. Next time onwards, I will not speak bad words. I have understood my situation. I will try to reform myself." Now, professor was wondered what made this bird so silent. So, professor had one friend who was a non-vegetarian eating, who had kept one chicken curry inside the fridge. Now, the bird asked, "May I know what mistake did the chicken do? He's there inside the fridge with roasted perspective." Means when he saw that he will also might be roasted and kept in the fridge and they will eat him, he learned from the situation, no, I will not do this mistake again. Sometimes that strong situation will bring out a purity in us. We realize the mentality and we say, yes, I will not commit this mistake once again. This is in a grave way. Or whenever strong situation comes, then we realize the scenario. Like there were two farmers. One was by name Shankar, the other one by name Mintu. Shankar was very nice personality, very good farmer, who used to grow crops, live a satisfied life with his family. With whatever comes, he used to earn in a very honest way. The other person, Mintu, was a very lazy person who wants faster output with very less endeavor. And because he does not do proper cropping, proper output does not come, he always gets less money than Shankar. He always starts jealousy and he starts crying on Shankar's advancement. So he could not tolerate Shankar's good nature, good activities, because everywhere people used to rely upon Shankar because of his character. Any problem they could come to Shankar and Shankar will be there with them for the problem. So this was infuriating his anger within him. He could not tolerate that somebody becoming more better than him. So at one particular time he wanted to take revenge when Shankar's crop was prime at reaping stage. At the dead of the night he went and he lit fire to that crop. So when he lit fire, the fire had alarmed everybody. All the surrounding people came, awakened Shankar. Shankar went immediately, doused the fire, but part of the crop was damaged. He could save the maximum crop, but some part of the crop was damaged. He saw from where the fire started, he could understand whose activity it was. But he did not speak anything. So that year, Shankar got little lesser money, but Mintu got bigger money. So Mintu was very happy. I have overtaken Shankar this year. But after a few days, Shankar was alarmed by a sound. He got up. When he went outside, he saw there was a huge crowd outside Mintu's house. He went inside and saw Mintu's son had fallen terribly ill. The doctor was saying it is very difficult for him to recover. So Shankar came out immediately. He took his cycle, went to a nearby town, brought the best doctor. And when the doctor came, he saw the situation and he immediately gave a remedy by which Mintu was recovering back. In a couple of days, Mintu came back to his normalcy. Mintu's son came back to normalcy. Then Mintu understood the situation. Then next day, when Shankar went to see how the boy was, Mintu came forward and begged forgiveness, and he said, "So you are such a great person. You have not even bothered that I have done a mistake for you. I have done that day I was the one who had put fire to your crop." Shankar said, "I already knew this. Then why did you take the help? Why did you go so much to the other city, brought the doctor and see that my son is recovered?" I said, then Shankar said, "I did what I was right. Could I do wrong just because you have done wrong to me? It is not my character. I am what I am. I have been trained by quality of principles of goodness, so I will only aspire goodness from others." So seeing the mentality of Shankar, Mintu also changed. From that day, both of them became good friends, and Mintu also started in a good way, righteous way, started performing. See, by patience and by forgiveness, one can conquer the others. That is the example what is being said here. So Diti, she begged forgiveness from the Lord, and she, by her patience of tolerance of suffering the situation, she will be conquering the situation, even though the immediate result may be very bad. The next one, her grandson will be the greatest Vaishnava, Prahlad Maharaj. So in that perspective, we will see the further verses where she begs forgiveness from Lord Śiva, and how we have to understand in our life how to practice this forgiveness principle. And whenever we do a mistake, we should be the first one to say, "Yes, I have committed a mistake. I have learned from the situation. Please forgive me." This should be our mentality. And we will learn further about these principles in the further classes. I'll stop here. Any questions or doubts? ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंद।